What does filmed for IMAX mean? It isn't just a movie that'll look great on IMAX's screens. It means that hiding from a sandstorm feels like fear in every flicker. And every triumph is felt in every sound wave. And the things we've only imagined, you can truly experience those too. That's what filmed for IMAX means. Get tickets to experience Dune Part 2 now and IMAX's exclusive expanded aspect ratio.
This episode is brought to you by Paramount Plus. Get in, loser! Mean Girls is now streaming on Paramount Plus. Join Katie Heron as she meets the plastics in Tina Fey's new twist on the modern classic. Get ready for more of the rumors, backstabbing, and jokes you loved from the original movie with some fetch surprises. Rated PG-13. Wear pink and head to ParamountPlus.com to try it free.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of All Too Real 2. My name is Michael E. Cullen II, and with me, as always, is...
Sesame, Rooftop, and Carta.
Rooftop.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good name. You should, become a rapper or something and go like...
I'm going to call myself Rooftop.
Yeah.
DJ Rooftop.
DJ Rooftop.
Yeah.
And ironically, you only perform on the first floor, but
yeah, exactly. Our audience will understand why I call myself Rooftop.
Yes,
because I'm sorry, that's gonna take me about 5 minutes of just talking about that one part.
Yeah,
yeah.
So today on the podcast, we are talking about the 1993 film entitled Judgement Night. It was directed by Stephen Hopkins, written by Lewis Kolick and Jerry Cunningham, and it stars Emilio Estevez, Cuba Gooding Jr., Denis Leary, Stephen Dorff, Jeremy Piven, Peter Green, Michael De Lorenzo, among other people.
It's a pretty big, pretty famous cast for that time.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is Stephen Dorff wasn't really well known when this came out, but he is now. He pretty much his first, I think this is his first major movie. I mean, he had smaller parts in other movies and stuff, but nothing really major before this because he did mostly TV guest spots before this.
Yeah.
Two of the main stars of the film have been accused of sexual assault, but
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well, I think Jeremy Piven's one, right? But
yeah, and Cuba Gooding Jr.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, he's supposedly assaulted 30 women over the years.
Oh man, that's
yeah. But these are all just rumors. He had some kind of settlements with people. Jeremy Piven, he was accused. I don't think anything ever any kind of law. Any kind of ruling came down on that. He took 2 lie detector tests and denied any charges. So, but lie detector tests can be fooled by actors, especially. But
yeah, they're notoriously not accurate.
Yeah,
at all.
But
they shouldn't even use because they don't really work. But
yeah, I don't want to accuse him of anything. I mean, he's been accused, but I'm just saying I don't want to say that. But, I mean, I have known people that worked with him.
Okay.
Who said that he's an asshole on set. But that's that's neither here nor there. So.
Yeah.
So that kind of clouded my judgment on things with him, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So this movie, what were your initial thoughts of it?
I love it. So a little story time here.
Okay.
It was a little bit late for me, but I was 17 years old. And I think it was junior year in high school. I stayed up late on a school night, which was rare for me. I didn't do this very often, but I just happened to be doing it. And then it was on HBO. This movie came on, and I just started watching it. And I was like, "Oh, this is kind of interesting." It just sort of captivated me. The more and more the movie kind of went into that's a weird phrase. The more the movie went into itself, I don't know what I'm saying, but like basically, the more the movie progressed. There you go. That's the right phrase. It captivated me, and it was like, and the movie didn't start until like 11:30 at night. So I was like up until like 1:30 in the morning to finally went to bed and wake up at like 6:30. So I only got like 5 hours of sleep, but it was worth it because I really loved it. And then I watched it a few times over the years since then. Not a crazy amount of times, but probably about 3 or 4 times. And it's one of my favorite movies. It really is, of all time, despite the fact that I've only seen it about 5 times.
Yes. I forgot to mention one person who's in the movie, Eric Schrody, who is from House of Pain.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Everlast, right?
I believe so. I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, I think it was Everlast. Okay, a young Everlast.
Yeah, Everlast. Yeah.
You're right. Schrody's is like his real name.
Yeah, Eric Schrody is what he goes by in the credits. But yeah, interesting.
It's interesting too because he's a Muslim by faith, and he plays like a gangster in this movie.
Yeah.
Like a henchman, basically,
Has he always been a Muslim, or is it recent?
No, he converted back I think he converted around 93, 94, so around this when this movie came out, actually.
He's a pretty good actor.
He is. The rapper Q-Tip actually is the one who introduced him to Islam. It kind of became sort of like I wouldn't say mentor necessarily, but kind of like his sort of like introduction into the faith, because Q-Tip was also a Muslim. I'm not sure if he still is or if he's even still alive anymore, because I haven't hardly heard anything about Q-Tip in a long time. So
I like Q-Tip. He's always got a positive view on the world and stuff like that. And calls out, like bad things going on in the world and everything. Q-Tip converted to Islam in the mid 90s, it says here.
Okay.
I had read something like I don't know if it was, but he was like, I think maybe a 5%er or something, but I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a different thing altogether, but maybe he's both or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but I was like reading different things about that. And yeah, so anyways, but
that's a whole other subject. I could talk about the 5%.
Oh yeah,
while.
Me too.
I don't want to get, because that'll be like derailing the whole thing.
Me too. I read about them for about an hour the other day. So anyways,
it's a super interesting group of philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's almost like part and parcel of rap music itself. And that's how intertwined it is. It's like you'll hear people make references to like 5%er ideas from people who aren't even part of that group, like just because it's so like embedded into like rap culture. Again, I know, sorry, getting sidetracked again.
Yeah. So yeah, I really liked this movie. I remember watching it back when it came out, like when I rented it or something, and it's good. I mean, there's definitely, I think, flaws in this movie, but many and cultural like issues too with it. But it is a fun, like intense movie. It only has like a 30% on Rotten Tomatoes, but
really,
but it's but it's like a popular movie. Like it's like a cult movie. Like a lot of people like it, so
yeah,
it's like the critics hated it, but the fans loved it. And there were some other issues too why it didn't really make a lot of money at the box office that we can get into later. What do you want to talk about here? We're probably not going to go completely in depth on this week like we normally do, just because it's more of a overall, like the plot of the movie isn't like really in depth. So yeah,
it's a suspense film, but there's not really a whole lot of what actually happens into it. A lot of it is about the suspense and the chase, because they basically witness like so basically what it is that Jeremy Piven played a character named Ray Cochran. He rents like a really souped up RV.
Actually, he doesn't even rent it. He's borrowing it.
Sorry, it's right. He's quote unquote borrowing it from the dealership, because he's like is basically like your wheeling and dealing negotiator type guy who thinks he's like a self-made businessman, like that kind of character or whatever. So he kind of conned the guy at the dealership to let him take it out for a spin. because to see if he wants to buy it or whatever. So yeah, he didn't even rent it; he just borrowing it for that. And that's what he told the guy. And then he's picking up Frank. Emilio Estevez playing the character Frank, and then Mike, played by Cuba Gooding Jr., shows up there. They all hop into his, and then also Frank invites his younger brother John because their friend Eddie had declined or had to cancel at the last minute. So you got the four.
Yeah, Eddie was. It's a good thing Eddie canceled because.
yeah, it's actually the best thing the best decision Eddie's ever made in his entire life was canceling at the last minute. Totally good move on Eddie's part. And so they're going to the boxing match. They got great seats and everything, but they get stuck in a really big traffic jam, and they're basically watching like the first few fights on the satellite TV because the RV has like satellite, of course, and they're basically worried they're going to miss like the main event because, there's really no letting up on this traffic. John tries to get into a fight with another driver. Frank basically stops him and tells him like, hey, you never know who has a gun in the city because it takes place in Chicago. Chicago 1993 is a lot different than Chicago 2024.
So I got a comment here about this.
Sure.
So my thing is like, traffic sucks in Chicago.
I know,
especially if you live there. Why would you not leave like really early for this fight? Now all of this could have been avoided if they just left early.
Either leave or take the side roads and not even bother with the main highway, and just do that. Yeah, because again, this sort of, because usually boxing matches are on either Friday or Saturday nights, so like you're not going to get like a Wednesday or Tuesday boxing match. You know what I mean? Like. So, everyone was probably either going to that or maybe a basketball game or maybe a baseball game, depending on what time of the year it was.
And I mean, if it was like a Friday though, I mean, they're probably heading there like during rush hour, which is stupid.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, predictably they caught in this traffic jam, which is obvious that was going to happen. And so Ray, being the crazy, wild, dude he is, decides to back up and then go off the expressway into like basically like a side road. And the funny thing too is like you can even tell just as they're driving down that road, you could tell bad things are to come because a bunch of strewn papers. That's one of the notes I wrote. I said the best way to showcase poverty in 1990s films is to have random papers strewn throughout the streets. Bonus points for burning barrels. I don't know what it was. I think from Back to the Future 2 onwards, that was how you showcased. We're in like the bad parts of town. Like,
and when they're going down this like in this bad part of town, it reminded me of National Lampoon's Vacation when they do a similar thing, and I think it's in Chicago or something too. So
yes,
it
was in Chicago.
So it's like you guys.
The guy he's like, oh, thanks for your directions. He's like, don't worry about it. I don't even live here. I'm on vacation or something like that. That's hilarious. So yeah, they go on the side street. They get lost because this is before GPS and things like that. They don't know where they're at.
Yeah, this is the time of the Nintendo Entertainment System that they have in the RV for some reason.
They had the gun, the orange duck hunt gun.
Yeah.
For some reason, they wanted to play Duck Hunt, I guess. And this was the orange one because the original one was gray, but then they worried about kids using that and playing and getting shot by like a cop or something.
Yeah, and that one was even changed from the original that came with the Famicom in Japan. That one looked exactly like a revolver.
Oh God!
Like it was black and everything. It was just like
wow.
Yeah,
that's why. I mean, Japan has less of a problem. They could probably get away with it back then. But yeah, they changed the American one from gray to orange at some point. I think I originally had the gray one.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think I had the orange one, but my aunt or my uncle had bought one like a year earlier. Then they had the gray one, so they switched it up like within that year between. I'm
pretty sure.
Anyway,
I'm pretty sure I had the orange. I think I had the orange, but maybe I had the gray. I don't know because I'd have to ask my friend DJ, who I gave my NES to. So
Yeah, so it was, that was just a little side thing. So basically, they're circling the block like many times over because they have no idea where they are. And of course, there's like hardly any street lights. Everything's dark. There's, again, a bunch of strewn paper all over the streets. I don't know where this paper comes from. I don't know if it's newspapers, people's diaries. I'm not sure exactly what they are. And, burning barrels,
It's
of course.
it's the classified documents that Donald Trump stole.
Yes, exactly. They're all just, hey, take your pick. You can just take one if you want. Oh, this one's got a nuclear secret. That's nice. Maybe I'll sell this to the gang leader, for like $500 or for him not to kill me. I don't know. Anyway, so basically they're starting to get nervous because none of them, are from this area and stuff. And so they want to get out of here as soon as possible. Eventually Mike, because they have like a PA system, like a speaker and stuff like that. So like Mike is like using that to talk to these like homeless guys that are like by a burning barrel, basically like goofing off and asking them for directions. And then like the one dude looks like he's going to reach for his pocket to like grab out a gun or whatever, but he's really just like getting like out a bottle of liquor or whatever. They all laugh at them because like, these rich guys, type of thing, basically just scaring them. And then they're kind of arguing with each other about whether or not to like get the map out, which why would you even argue that point? Yes, get the map out. Like that's the only way you're going to get out of here is read the fucking map. Like, but for some reason that was a big thing like to argue about. And then when Ray was looking, he hits something. They all, except for Ray, go out to see what they hit because Ray doesn't really care because he's kind of plays an asshole in this movie. And Jeremy Piven pretty much plays an asshole in almost every movie he's in.
Yes.
or any show. He was in Entourage. He was in PCU, I think what it was called.
He plays an asshole very well.
Very well. He might be an asshole in real life, so might not even be acting that much. But like anyway, so because I've heard he's kind of a jerk too in real life, and not just from the accusations, but like just in general. But and so it turned out they hit some teenager, I guess, and then they bring him into the RV, to help him. But then they realize he was shot, so they know that he wasn't hurt because of what happened. What they did, he was shot, and then they find a bloody paper bag. And they see a bunch of money that's got blood on it. So they're like, "Oh shit!" Like now we're in shit now because basically this kid stole someone's money or whatever, and they got shot for it. So now they're involved. And basically what happens, I know just to wrap it up. Basically what happens is that the gang leaders find out where the RV is. They shoot it out. They drag the kid out. They bring the gang leader played by Denis Leary. His name is what's his name in the
Fallon.
Sorry, Fallon. Fallon.
Yeah, he's Jimmy Fallon's brother. You don't know. I'm joking.
Yeah, Jimmy Fallon's brother. Yeah, and then played by Denis Leary, who also usually he's like an asshole in most of his.
Well, Denis Leary is actually related to one talk show host, though. He's cousins to Conan O'Brien.
Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then they killed the guy for basically stealing from the gang leader, and then now because that's rule number 1 is never steal, and basically saying if you want more work or more money, whatever, just talk to me and we'll figure something out, but don't ever steal from me because that's like the worst rule. Then the second rule is no witnesses. So that's basically that's the rest of the movie is just them chasing.
Yeah, and there was this point too, like before this all happened, where Ray he calls 911 but hangs up.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Which everything else in the movie could have been avoided if he did that.
Exactly. If he didn't hang up right as Frank got into the RV, he's like, "Oh, the phone's dead," or whatever.
Yeah. Why the fuck was he lying? I don't. Yeah.
Well, it's because he was drinking, so he was worried that he'd get a DUI. Basically, that's what he was worried about the most, was getting a fucking DUI.
Yeah.
Instead of the fact that, oh my God, he just brought in a kid
who's been shot, yeah,
and a fucking bag of bloody money. I'm pretty sure at this point, a DUI, you can that would give you a couple years, then you're off it. That's fine, But no, he was more worried about that than getting wrapped up in this.
It's emblematic of the selfishness of like people in. In society, especially in America. Yeah.
Well, yeah, Ray was just very selfish. He didn't even want to help the kid. Didn't even want to bring him in. I mean, he was just totally willing to just let him lay in the street and die there. I mean, he was just very, very selfish character, which, it doesn't make me so sad about what happens to him later.
I put down later that when what happens to him happens, that I've never been more happy to see someone die in a film.
He wasn't just a jerk, a selfish jerk, neurotic as well, totally neurotic, probably on cocaine because he seemed like he was way too energetic, and stuff like that. And
Jeremy Piven seems like he's on cocaine all the time, though. So.
That's just his style of acting, and so
like in Very Bad Things, he's like that too. Yeah,
that's right. Very Bad Things. I remember that, and so that's just kind of basically what it is. Because after that, it's just them running away from Fallon and his gang, and just various hiding spots, and they always get caught, and so there's really not much to go into like too much detail, except for the rooftop scene. There's got to be a lot of detail on that one, but like everything else, it's not really important.
Yeah, they get like. They go to like they end up like going into a projects building where they go into this woman's apartment and hold out there for a little bit, and then her roommate tells them that there's a way that these kids have been escaping from one building to another on top of the roof, and then we have the nice rooftop scene. What happens there?
Okay, so and again, Ray's being an asshole to these women as well the whole time, who have let them stay in their apartment despite the danger that they're putting themselves in by essentially hosting these fugitives, for want of a better word. I mean, it's kind of what they are. I mean, they're not fugitives from the police; they're fugitives from this gang, and the leader. And the police don't ever come because the at one point he says it's been 17 minutes, and then one of the women said, "People die of old age before the police comes here," or whatever. Yeah. So it's pretty much like there's no help for people who have any issues with like the gangs or crime that goes on in this neighborhood, which again kind of happens, unfortunately, a lot in those parts of the cities.
Yeah.
But when the police come to punish people, they're there like in a second. But like if someone needs help, they're like,
Oh no, yeah.
But anyway,
yeah. All cops are bad. Oh wait, sorry.
No. It's the system, and then the people are part of the system, and then they get wrapped up into it, and then that's a whole other conversation. But like, and then so Ray's being a jerk to them as well. Eventually, Frank is like, "Hey, we got to get out of here because, one of these women has a baby, and we're going to endanger, their whole family if we stay here. So we just have to leave, and basically just, to protect them, basically." So they eventually go. The so-called entrapment they have is just a bunch of ladders that are hooked up to each other so they can crawl, to the other side of the next building.
Yeah.
And Ray has like an extreme fear of heights, which is hilarious for what happens. Anyway, and so he doesn't want to go at first. And so I think Mike goes first, and then it's John. And then Frank wanted Ray to go, but then Ray said, "No, you go first. I'll be fine." And Frank's like, "You're not going to do anything stupid, are you?" He's like, "No, I'll go. I promise." And so right after Frank crosses over, Ray throws all the ladders down to the ground so that he doesn't even have a chance to crawl to the, which I'm not sure why he thought that was a good idea, but whatever. So like there's no chance to even crawl over to the next building. And then at that point, that's when Fallon and his three, or is it two or, I think it's two or three. Yeah, his three henchmen show up, and then Ray thinks that he's gonna be able to negotiate himself out of this predicament. Sorry, I've seen this so many times.
This guy he's totally one of these type of people that has the biggest ego in the world, but he's the stupidest idiot ever. It's like
So he thinks he's gonna be able to negotiate out of this, and he offers Fallon $100,000 to basically let him go, and that they won't go to the police, and they'll just forget the whole thing.
Yeah.
Fallon's kind of playing along a little bit, but then he kind of gets angered because he could just see through this character that he's just like a slimy guy, and he doesn't like this about people, kind of thing, because he's like a hardened guy and stuff like that. He's been to prison himself.
Plus, the whole fact is, it's like there's no guarantee that they're not going to go to the cops, even if they were.
Well, that's the thing too. Exactly, and also too the money. How are you going to guarantee that? So he gives, to try to sweeten the pot, he gives them some kind of ring, and he said it's worth $15,000, and he'll count it as a quote down payment or whatever. Who knows if the ring's even that worth that much? I don't know. But like, and so he Fallon is kind of playing along a little bit, and I think he was playing along, but also he might have been genuinely a little bit curious about what he had to say. But then he really said something that just really set him off, and he said something like, "Oh, we're businessmen. We have an understanding." And he's like, "You don't understand shit, like about what we are, who we are, type of thing." Like, when you have any idea who we are, like
when he gives him that ring though, too, Everlast's character puts it on his finger.
Yeah.
And on his hand, there's also another ring with a shamrock on it, which is interesting because of House of Pain. Yeah.
That's great. Then he had this other guy who, I don't know his name, but I always loved him in this movie. Just the way he acted, just the way he delivered a certain line where he's like that's a beautiful ring. I don't know, just the way he said it and like his facial expression. I don't know what it is, but I always loved that.
Was it the guy that played Sykes?
Yeah, and I've seen him in some things. I don't really know him too well.
It's Peter Green is the actor's name, and he's he was in Pulp Fiction as Zed. He was in The Mask.
Oh right, yeah.
Blue Streak, Bounty Hunter, bunch of different movies. So yeah,
okay,
yeah.
So yeah, I like that. And then so basically, Fallon goes on this long tirade about how people like Ray are just like these slimy people. A little too much cussing for my taste. Like, it's okay. Like, you can say it a few times, we get the point, but it was like every other word was fucking. Like, okay, like, we get the point. Like, he's like, I eat fucking people like you for fucking breakfast. I'm like, do you really need to go twice? Can you just do with the one? I don't know. And then, but, apparently that was like a 90s thing. Early 90s thing was like to see how many times you could say fuck. It was like the big thing, apparently. I don't know. Kind of stupid.
Do you have dreams that you want to achieve, but are scared to do so due to self-doubt, fear, and other people's criticism? I have just what you need. You need a dose of the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, where I interview guests that will motivate and inspire you to stop at nothing to achieve your dreams. And always remember, if you believe, you can achieve.
The Living the Dream with Curveball podcast is available on your favorite podcast app.
Hey, everybody. Why don't you give the old Black Lincoln Collective podcast a listen? We're funny, we're fat, and we're here 24/7 at blcpodcast.com. Anytime you want to listen, anywhere, all your favorite podcast apps. Of course, we have a YouTube channel where you can stream live with the show. Check out our shorts. We're funnier the less you hear of us. That's been a Black Lincoln Collective podcast at blcpodcast.com.
And so then Ray offers them $200,000. And then like one of the guys like uncocks his gun, basically like, oh wow, that's a lot of money or whatever. It was 1993, $200,000 would be a lot of money in today's currency. And it's so this is one of my favorite scenes of all time. So Fallon's like, okay, yeah, I guess we got a deal. And then Ray's like, oh man, like you had to be schooled or whatever. I think I'm just gonna wait a few seconds for my heart to start beating right or whatever. And he's like I can't believe I'm getting out this building in one piece. And then Fallon's like, oh yeah, you are. And then he pushes it. But the thing is, the scream is the best scream I've ever heard in any. It's even better than the Wilhelm scream.
Yeah,
by far. It's like, and I don't think I've ever heard this scream in any other movie except for this movie. Huh. So I don't know if they just recorded it for here or.
Yeah, I didn't pay attention to it. I'll have to listen to it again. Yeah,
it's. Oh, rewatch the scene because someone uploaded the scene itself. You don't even have to fast forward.
I'll look it up. Yeah,
rooftop. But the way that scream, man, like it's just wild. And then obviously he gets pushed to his death and he dies. And then Mike, not you, but Mike, played by Cuba Gooding Jr.
I was like, wait, am I in this movie? Wait.
Yeah, he ends up firing the gun that Ray had bought or rented or whatever, and ends up shooting one of the guy's hands by accident. And that's pretty much, what happens is that they're running away from these guys. Basically at some point, Mike is like, we need to make a stand. Like, we can't just keep running from them because, like, no matter what, they're gonna find us eventually and kill us. Like, they know these parts more than we do, so we pretty much just have to stay and fight them. That's the only way that we're going to have a chance to get out of there. So they kill all the guys. Eventually, Mike gets shot, but he lives. And then Frank ends up throwing or pushing Fallon off of not a roof, but
like a balcony or something, or a second story of this swap meet store type thing that they're at.
Yeah, because at one point they were trying to get security to come so they could tell them what's going on, basically what they were trying to do. But they came too late because Fallon's game just ended up killing the security people before they could call the cops.
Like you do.
And
yeah.
Well, I'm just skipping over the rest of the details. Don't matter too much about the rest. I mean, at one point they're hiding in like a train car with a bunch of homeless people, and then
one time
there's a guy.
One time they're in the sewers.
The sewers. Yeah, that's where they killed some of the guys in the sewers.
And then I don't know about the version you watched or not, but then all of a sudden, the Ninja Turtles came out and saved the day.
Yeah, that was a good one. No,
wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the cops come, and then they initially, are going to arrest them until they find out that they're telling the truth about this gang that they basically just took out. That's the other thing too. And so they just took out an entire gang in one night, like so, including the gang leader himself. So now Chicago is free of one gang. It only took Ray's brave sacrifice to make it happen.
There's a sequel. It's called Judgment Night 2, and it turns out that Frank becomes the new gang leader, and
and so that's pretty much the recap of the actual movie itself. Because again, his point was to go into like every minor detail of running around and going into like a train car for 5 minutes and like stuff like that.
Yeah, I've got a couple stray notes that I made here. So the film is a great suspense film, still holds up, but is a bleak and somewhat judgmental, pun intended, view of the inner city.
Right.
And then Denis Leary gives a chilling performance. Yep. Yeah. Do you want to hear some trivia about the movie?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so according to Variety, Emilio Estevez was far down on the list of actors considered for the role of Frank. The trade paper story explained that the studio's desperation to quickly cast the lead role also led to Estevez taking a much higher than expected payday. Actors who passed on the role include Tom Cruise and Christian Slater.
Wow.
Okay, here's like a really creepy trivia fact here. During the filming of the rooftop confrontation between Fallon and Ray, the cast and crew were stunned by a sound of a random, unexpected gunshot. The crew ran downstairs to find a 16-year-old kid with his head blown off by another youth of the same age as part of a gang initiation by murder. The army was brought in to secure the area the next day, and production was moved elsewhere.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
So they were shooting, and then they end up moving to like different rooftops to shoot the rest of it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. So Emilio Estevez asked for and received a $4 million to star in the film. He was able to get a much larger payday than anyone expected because he was available at a point where the film needed to either go into production or have the plug pulled. And they had spent more than twice that $4 million figure on pre-production, which would have been lost if they hadn't taken if he hadn't taken the lead role.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, here's another creepy thing here. During the opening weekend, there was a shooting at a screening in a Bronx theater, and local media blamed the movie itself for the incident.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. In response, it was quickly pulled from distribution and ran for only 2 weeks. This led to its failure at the box office and an eventual cult status. Yeah.
So that's the reason why it probably would have been like a summer hit, or I'm not sure when it came out.
Yeah, but it was only in theaters for 2 weeks. So.
Yeah, they did the same thing to New Jack City. They were like, "Oh, games are gonna go and have shootouts inside the movie theater, so don't go to the movie theater or the malls because of that." And I'm like, okay, like even on the news they were saying shit like that. I'm like, okay, it's a fucking movie.
People overreact to movies all the time. I mean, my favorite protest thing ever was when Dogma came out, and they were protesting that, and then Kevin Smith actually went and protested his own movie.
His own film is great.
Yeah, he got interviewed on the news.
That's awesome.
And gave them a fake name, and they aired it. So they didn't know it was the director of the movie. So
that's like premium trolling right there.
Yes,
I love it.
Okay, so during the scene where Frank is attempting to catch up to the police car, the RV passes by Patty's Pub from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which isn't located in Chicago or Philadelphia, but in Los Angeles, where they filmed this movie. So,
wow. That's hilarious.
Yeah, so it's the same like little area where that is. Some of the background music during the chase scene immediately following the escape from the boxcar is very similar to the score of Predator 1987. Both films had music composed by Alan Silvestri. Director Stephen Hopkins also directed Predator 2, and he wanted the score to sound like the one Silvestri composed for that film, which is why he rejected Silvestri's original electronic score.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, the Universal were so taken aback by the bleak tone of the daily shot in Chicago that they thought the crew were using matte painting, but it was actually really, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Another interesting thing: Adam Carolla got his first job working in film as a stand-in in this film.
Oh, okay.
Though he is 4 inches taller, Carolla was the stand-in for Michael DeLorenzo, the kid who got shot that they thought they ran over. Yeah, he said this on his podcast in 2016. Yeah,
that is interesting.
Yeah,
I heard that the soundtrack was really hyped up. Like almost a soundtrack almost got more.
Oh, it was really popular. Like everybody had the Judgment Night soundtrack. I mean, I had a copy of it, I think. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it had De La Soul into it, or Funk De La Soul. No, it wasn't Funk De La Soul. They weren't called that, were they? Were they just De La Soul?
They were just De La Soul.
Yeah. De La Soul. I don't know why I said Funk De La Soul. And then
I thought you said fuck De La Soul.
No, they're a great band.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No, I had that one song like do 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 do, where they took a sample of the Steve Miller band, the do 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 do.
Yeah,
and they had this cool. They were a good band. They had a lot of good songs. They had like a lot of rap metal. That was like when rap metal was really just first starting off. Like really, like
yeah. I mean, like the whole album is pretty much like rap and rock mixed together. It's
yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what I got here for trivia. Do you have any other thoughts here on this movie?
No, not really. Just because, like, again, there's not a whole lot of detail. I guess I would say is that this is, in the context of movie that came out during this era, like around 93, 94, there was a lot of movies that were kind of like this, where there wasn't a whole lot of actual things happening in the movie itself, but it was suspenseful enough that it kind of carried you, like you weren't just bored. Like I was watching this on Friday night, the movie's almost 2 hours long, and even though there wasn't a whole lot that happened in it, I wasn't really getting bored at all throughout it, and there are a lot of movies like that during that period. I mean, I think this is one of the better ones that were like that, but and again, the depiction of inner cities was there's a lot of movies like that as well, where it's like, oh, what's that, a bunch of papers all over the street for some reason, because that's what it's like. Apparently,
plus it's like they make the inner city. I mean, I know the inner city's bad in some ways, but it's like they make it seem like in a lot of ways in this thing, like this is the only way that people are in this city, is like they're all thugs and criminals and stuff, and it's just
it's not like that. Yeah,
it's not like that, and it bothers me. And plus, it's when you have a character like Fallon who's like this, bad guy. I mean, they exist in the world, but still, when you make it seem like there's him and then there's like another, like a black gang later in the movie and things like that.
Right, I forgot about that.
Yeah. There's it just makes you think like everything's completely just gangs, which it could be, and it could have been at that time, but there's more nuance to things too. It's like, I don't know. I think the world is more like, I don't know, more like, do the right thing than it is like Boys in the Hood, it's like,
well, yeah. It's not like, an entire area is like one thing, like one street might be a little bit better than the other. So like what bothers me about these movies is like they make it they depict it as though it's like a wasteland, like as though like destruction happened in like a bomb went off or whatever, and this is like the ruins basically. And then it's like, no, it doesn't really look like that. Like it literally looks like ruins. That's why you got paper strewn all over the place. You got burning barrels. You got, homeless people just like literally just hanging out like all over the, like, no, it doesn't happen like that, and like it just looked like they were on like a set, and they're just like, let's just try to make this place look as drab and dark as possible. And like, yeah, okay, there we go, Chicago, inner city. And it's like, well, Chicago is a huge city. So when you say inner city, what area are we talking about here? Because there's like a lot of different areas, not just like one block that you just circle. And that's the inner city for you, Like,
yeah, it's like they shot some of it in Chicago, but a lot of it was shot in Los Angeles. So it's like, yeah, they probably dressed up Los Angeles to look like Chicago. But I wonder where the trivia does not say where that kid was shot. Like, I don't know if that was in Los Angeles or in Chicago.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, that's just terrible, though.
I know.
That's horrible. Did they ever find out who killed the kid?
I don't know. I didn't find any more info. I'm going to have to look that up.
Okay.
I might right now and cut out a little bit of dead air here.
That killer might be still on the loose to this day, just like, or maybe died in another gang-related, activity or whatever. Or he's probably like a reformed Christian at this point. Like, I killed a man when I was 15, but now I'm a changed man, type of thing. Then again, if you truly were a changed man, then you would turn yourself in for murder and face your punishment, or rehabilitation. So I guess technically you wouldn't be a changed man if you're just kind of role playing as like a Christian or like a man of faith or whatever. So I don't know. Whatever. I'm just speculating. I'm just speculating about the potential person, this killer that might not even still be alive.
Yeah, I can't find any info about this.
Okay, that's fine.
Off the top here, but yeah. So but rest in peace. Kid got his head blown off. So anyway,
no, so right.
Any other thoughts here?
No, not really.
So, anyways, folks, hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope you enjoy our show in general. If you can do us a favor, be sure to subscribe and share the show. You can find us on alltooreal2.com. All of our information is there. You can find our social media there, our Facebook, our Instagram, and our googly doop and their dobbity-dee. Those are new things, right?
Sure. Let's say they are.
I heard the kids talking about it. Something about that and like the Riz. Is that something?
I think Riz stands for charisma, according to my.
Yeah. No, it's not a social media platform. No, joking.
No, not yet. Oh, that's a good idea. Riz.
Yeah.
Join Riz. The new Twitter or the new X or the new Threads or the new Blue Sky. Yeah. I think Riz means charisma, and then ate it up with no crumbs basically means like, you did a good job. No, there's a few other ones I don't really I can't even actually think of what they are now, let alone their meanings.
Yeah.
But there's a few other Gen A / Gen Z late Gen Z.
Well, these kids with all of their funky, groovy terms that they have. Yeah.
It's like every generation has its own slang. Sometimes it comes back to the other old ones as well. And you just gotta that's the other thing too, is like you just gotta let them have their own thing.
Oh yeah.
A lot of the problem is that it's like these kids today, it's like, well, they're trying to assert their independence in some way. That's natural. That's what any human does. At some point, they want to be independent.
It's the way of the world. Like when you're a teenager, you think your parents are stupid, and your parents think you're stupid. And then, and then when you grow up and become an adult, you start thinking your kids are stupid, and then it's a cycle. It just keeps going on and on. Yeah.
The thing is, though, is I try to keep an open mind about that.
Oh, me too.
Because I understand the cycle of life, and so that way I try to not look down. Like I try not to look down. Like for a while, I was looking down on Billie Eilish because I thought her acting weird and quirky was just like doing it on purpose, like trying to be weird, because I've noticed that there are people who have turned being weird into like its own personality type as opposed to just being weird a natural state. And so I was kind of projecting that onto Billie Eilish, unfortunately, until I watched more interviews of her and I realized, like, oh no, she's just like this, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of
yeah,
people.
for a while I was kind of judging her a little bit, or prejudging her, you know, Judgment Night.
Yes. So on this Judgment Night, I would ask people to don't judge us for any of our opinions. And
right.
Be sure to like, share, and everything. Like I said before, check out our TeePublic and our Patreon. Give us a 5-star review anywhere you can do that, like Apple Podcasts and all that good junk. And and just remember, folks, until next time, I love you. Ray fell off of a roof. Sesame loves you. And until next time, bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to All Too Real 2 podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Hawes. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.